Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach, and I am back again for another podcast episode with one of my coaching clients who got a macro job. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm not going to belabor this process because one, I want to celebrate her and the major macro career win that she got because as a result of it, she is a new homeowner. What I always tell y'all, you get one good job, it will change your life. So I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Introduce yourself to the people, and then let's jump into you being a new homeowner.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is JamiQuan, and I am a macro level social worker, recently macro level social worker, and I live in Oregon.
Let the people know. Lead with who you are. Yes, because
Oh,
you
oh,
market
oh, okay.
yourself.
Look. So let me tell you what I do now. So I am a macro social worker. I work for a county in Oregon in the Portland area. And I started off as a clinical social worker, just like most of us do, trying to get my hours, trying to get my license. And this is actually my third life. So, when you graduate, right, you have an idea of what you're going to be. And I did. I started on my hours, did my little job, and I hated it. And
Mm.
so I stopped. It wasn't my journey. It wasn't my thing. But when you're in this career, at least for me, what everyone pushed me towards was clinical social work, being a therapist, or something along that realm. But when I was in college, that was never my dream. I just didn't know how to do the thing and transition from the thing. Um, and so I have a love-hate relationship with my career over the years. I've graduated 14 years ago. So I've been in this field a little while. I'm one of those late bloomers, right? So you try this, you try that. I work with kids, I work with adults, I've worked in treatment for subs. All of those things are micro level. And it never stuck with me. What I found though is I didn't have the skill set to figure out what I didn't know. So even though I was looking for new jobs and I really wanted to shift, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't have the words. I didn't know what other skills my job or my education could give me. And so what most of us do, we start doing a little research and we you get on the internet, you find a little somebody. And I found you almost 2 years ago when I moved because I was ready to make a shift. And I said, well, I'm gonna get on here and before I spend my money, I'm gonna check out the community. And I did. And life happened. I moved and I came back though because my job wasn't fulfilling. And there I was again, once again, not making the money I wanted to make, feeling like I was overwhelmed and overworked, not feeling like this was going to be the end and ready to jump off and do something else outside of social work. So let's be clear, when I get tired of social work, I leave. I'll go work in a restaurant and wait tables so that I can have that break from the heaviness of what our career could look like. And then this time I said, I'm not going to work in a restaurant. I am going to spend my time figuring out how to better me. And I found you again and I started following you and you put a call out for a class and I didn't think about it. I put it on my credit card and I said, I'll pay for all kind of other things. This is what I'm going to invest in. I did it. And I think it was maybe the next day. I got on that call and I was serious. I got my little notepad, had my little pen, and I wrote down everything you said that was important. Job titles, how to talk about yourself, how to do this. And I listened to all the other people in the room. And I realized that I had been self-sabotaging myself. One, because I had listened to what everyone had said I could be and not really figured out what I wanted for myself. And you opened that door. And as I listened to your podcast and went through your social medias, a little bit of stalkish, it's okay though. I figured that you would be that person to help me kind of shift. I wanted to own a home. I wanted to move. I wanted to have a life that I wasn't, as soon as I got my paycheck, broke again, right? Go to work every day, but need to go to the food bank, right? And I said, well, if you want to own a home and you want to have these things, then you have to do these things. And so I took your course and I revamped my resume, and then I started looking for jobs. And I found the job at the county and I said, okay, hold on, let's see. So I applied for 4 jobs and 2 of them I declined because I was like, oh, I don't want that. After, because I'm gonna be honest, at first you just run in and go do something when you feel like you here, and I needed to come down. So when I realized that I had the skills and there wasn't a rush anymore, I was better able to choose jobs that I wanted. So the position that I have is basically care coordination. I do not see clients. It is complex case coordination. And so what that looks like is I deal with systems and people that work in those systems, but not the client. And I was like, I don't think that's for me, meaning I didn't think I could qualify for that job when I saw it. I thought it was, I'm gonna be honest, I was looking for a job at home. So I put hybrid telework so that it would at least for every job, right? And then I went through it and weeded out the things that weren't for me. But when this job came up, I'm gonna be honest, I was hesitant. So I didn't apply. I waited about a month. And then I kept going back and I kept listening to your stuff. And I said, well, my skills transfer. I could do this. So I did my little resume a little more, took a little more. I went back through your notes, went back to your website, listened to the class again, and I applied. And it took them about 4 or 5 months to get back to me. So they told me, okay, you passed the first one. And then, you gotta go do a background check. I did that. And then they did the interview. And when they did that interview, I was like, oh, okay. It took them another 2 months, but they offered me the job. And just so we're clear, I received a $15,000 difference in pay. That took me into a whole nother bracket. That took me to places that, to be honest, I had never thought I would reach in my career because I'm a social worker and they don't pay you like that. And you're pressed to feel like when you do this kind of work, you shouldn't expect that kind of money. But you helped me really reframe that thought process that my skills were just as transferable as anybody else's. And as long as I learned how to articulate that first in that resume, so when they saw me, they understood. But secondly, when I got in front of people, I could explain how my work could support this level of stuff. And so they came back and they offered me the job. And when I got the job, my supervisor said, I was so ecstatic to have you. She said, you interviewed fabulously. And I thought to myself, it's because Marthea, because I wouldn't have done this on my own. Because
Hey.
I don't know what to say. I'm a clinical social worker, right? But having that skill and learning how to address those macro level questions, I didn't know how to do that until I took the time to research it. And so what I'm saying to pull that all together is the skill set that we have as social workers is so phenomenal. You just have to learn how to express that appropriately. And then once I realized that, I'm just going to put it out there. I applied for another position. It's a director's position for equity and diversity and inclusion. I applied for that position because of you, because of your class, because of what you said, because before I wouldn't have thought that I was 1, qualified, and 2, that my social work, right, skills would allow me, but I see my skill set differently, and then I can apply myself differently. And when I applied, I am in the 85 percentile, which is very high. So I am in the running. And today I got an email for my background check. So I may be a director next year.
Oh my gosh, look, y'all, oh, that is wonderful. I love the boldness. I love it. This is it. This is the dream, right? This
Thank
is
you.
what I
I'm
get
throwing you your flowers because that boldness, I'm bold in a lot of things, but in my social work career, I didn't come here first. I started in business and I didn't like that. And then I went to nursing and I didn't make it into a nursing program. It was impacted. And the school was like, you need to go on somewhere else and do something else. And I went to, I'm showing my age, I went to the transfer office, right? Got the little book and sat down. And my mama at the time, she said, don't look at what the name is. Look at the courses. Find you something that appeals to you. And that's how I fell into social work. And I didn't want to be a social worker because in my day and time, social workers were baby snatchers and people that worked at the county for welfare, and there's nothing wrong with that. That wasn't my journey. And so to find, and I'm gonna be honest, other Black women and people of color who aren't so embedded in the idea that we must give until we're empty with low return. And I think, unfortunately, social work feels like the only career that I've ever run into where that seems to be the motto. You get paid less than anybody else, have more degrees, more training, more additional training, after, yet I'm still being paid little. I started doing my LCSW hours despite me not wanting to do LCSW because as a woman of color, and I'm a little older, I felt like that would be one more thing on my back that would help me. And what I realized, it don't matter. I don't need another degree. I don't need another certificate. I don't need another class. And I don't need another bill. What I need to do is learn how to be descriptive and think outside the box. And so being also too, you need to be around people that talk those things to you, that build you up, that edify what you think you want to do and where you're going. And so I really took the time to like write down my goal, hold myself accountable, come back and listen to your other reviews and other podcasts and go back through so that I felt confident and comfortable expressing who I am and what I know, because you can know everything you need to know, but if you don't present that well, then you will never convince anybody else. But over the months, I put in the time. And so in the end, what I got was more than what I ever believed I could have. But more importantly, it was exactly what I wanted. And I just had a meeting with my boss to say, I'm where I want to be in life. And I think very few of us get to say that. Like when my when my check used to come, I used to have negative. And now my check come, I got surplus. After my bills, after my mortgage, my baby birthday today. And I didn't have to not do something to do for her instead. And I ain't saved for 6 months to try to get it together. I knew that where I am now is where I want to be. My house note, 10 years ago, I would have never believed that I could pay that house note. I would have never believed that I could have a house note with the career I had chosen. It didn't seem possible as a single, because I'm single, I'm divorced, and I got 3 kids, but 2 of them are in the home with me. One of them is an adult and gone. But to be able to be self-sufficient, to be able to, my eldest son needed help this summer. I was able to pay for my grandchildren to fly both ways to see my son, me by myself, and not overdraft myself or run up my credit card. So when I say as social workers, but as a macro social worker, it shifted my life and changed the trajectory. I'm not joking when I say that. I am a homeowner. I got a new car. Look, off the lot.
Yes.
That kind of stuff. It's like, I finally feel like I'm receiving the things that I felt like I deserved after putting in my time. And I want people to know that they ain't got to put in a decade, right? You have the skill set when you get out of college. You just need to invest in yourself, be it a coach, be it getting on your lives, be it sitting somewhere. Please, y'all that's watching this, hear my heart when I say to you, what you put in, you get out. And I dedicated an hour or 2 a day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, to edify myself, to reassure myself, if so-and-so did it, I could do it. And those were skills, right? And so I think as social workers, we are big on skill sets, right? And so for me, I social work myself. I built a scaffold to hold me up. And as time went on, I was able to remove all these little pieces so that I could stand up on my own and do the thing I needed to do. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So I appreciate that I have the opportunity to tell all you aspiring social workers, all you social workers, that it's never too late to pivot. I'm somebody's grandma twice over. My eldest son will be 30 next year in February. I was a teen mom. I had my first child when I was 16, and the world told me I would never, ever amount, right, to be these things because I had made a mistake or done something wrong or not done the plan. My life has never been the plan. I didn't go to school till I was in my late 20s. I didn't graduate till I was 30 something. I didn't get my first social work job until I was in my mid 30s. But now I'm in my mid 40s and I'm applying for jobs to be a director. And so I'm just here to say, I don't care when you start. I don't care where you start. I just need y'all to know that when you're ready, you can make that pivot. And this place, the MSW coach as a whole, is a great place to start. You may not have the money right now, but spend your time listening to the podcast, YouTubes, the other things that are out there, all the resources that you could find. Take your time and dedicate yourself to that, because I'm going to tell you now, this time last year, I was praying and begging for a change. And I would not have, if you had asked me this time last year, would I be sitting in my home that I own, having paid my first mortgage by myself, driving a new car, and I still got money in the bank and payday ain't till the 15th? A year ago, I would have
So
told
good.
you no.
God is
I
so
would have
good.
told
I
you
had to
no.
unmute on that one. God is so good.
Phenomenal. And that's my point. But faith is no good without work.
Tell them one more time.
We got to have work. So you can listen to you all day. You could follow you all month and year and 2 years. But until you have that confirmation with inside you that this is your role, then you won't go. But I listen to you talk about your career, and I listen to you talk about how you have pivoted. And I reminded myself that you do not have an LCSW. You are not an LMSW. You just an MSW, just like me. And I felt like seeing you and hearing your story and watching your progress through time reminded me that me too, on this beautiful journey, me too. So I am one to say, share, shout you out. And I'm not getting paid nothing, y'all. She ain't paying me, and this ain't no pay advertisement. I am giving forth because I remember a time when I made less than 10, 12, 15,000 a year that I got in this. I remember when I made $9.25 an hour. And that wasn't that long ago because of life, right? I was in Virginia, and seriously, 2 years ago, I was working at Panera for $9.25 an hour. And today, just so we know, I'm almost at 6 figures, and I ain't mad at it.
Let people know. Tell them one more time. You can get your
Yeah.
good paying job and it will change your life. So I wrote a lot of things
Okay.
down that I want to tease apart because it's gonna help somebody.
It, yeah,
That helped them.
it
But I
does.
really want to tease apart some things that you said. So
Sure.
first, I want to congratulate you on buying
Thank
a
you.
home. That's
Oh,
amazing.
wait, let me tell you this. No money down, not a dollar out of my pocket. No, I found a program that helped me with closing costs. No money for my closing costs, and the owners took over the closing costs and pay. So what I'm telling you is, life is. You know what? I'm gonna say this. Life is hard when we're not where we're supposed to be, and it gets so hard because it needs you to move, and you just sitting there. You like, I'm moving. Oh, let me hold on a little bit more, Lord. Girl, let go. And when you let go, you realize that what you was holding so tight wasn't the thing you wanted or needed. You was dragging yourself for no reason. But when something is good for you, when something is for you, when you're going in the right direction, that is so smooth. I have been on my job less than 6 months. I have my team, the people I work with and interact with within the county and outside partners. I have had not one complaint. Everyone appreciates the knowledge and the experience that I bring to the table. And I would not have been able to express that appropriately because honestly, I didn't feel that social workers were as high as everyone else through the years. Like I said, it's been 14 years I've been a social worker. And through the years, I've seen our career be diminished and, just kind of slighted. But with you, And in your arena, I've learned how to bolster myself up, put it back, hold your head up a little bit more. So when I walk into those places, I demand just by being there to be seen and heard. And I'm confident, more confident. I have additional confidence in what I am expressing, that my skill set is. I'm not just a social worker. Honey, I'm a social worker. And it feels good when I say that. And it feels even better when I tell people I'm a macro level social worker. I don't do that. I don't do that because it feels good to tell people where you are and where you're best suited. Yeah.
And your strengths and your skills. There
Mhm.
is when you shift to jobs that really tap in and to like your zone of genius and
Mhm.
maximizes on your skills and your education, that's an automatic boost to the confidence, how you show up in your career, all of the things, because that's what you went to school for. That's why you put in all of those years. You're not at the bottom of it. It ain't even about like power and authority. It's just that you are tapped into what you're supposed to be doing.
Correct.
You're
And
not.
it feels good.
Yeah, I love that for you. I love that for you. So when you talked about how when social work would feel very overwhelming, you would take these breaks and you would go to the restaurant industry, go serve and do some things. When you said that, I was like, oh, I've heard somebody tell me that before. I didn't know that was a thing. Now that you're saying, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this a little bit more. Because I have another coaching client who is like, I'm going to go be a coffee shop barista. And then and I'm like, wait, we got to do that yet. Now, if you want to do that, you can, but we can do some other stuff. However, then also we have a subset of social workers who have multiple other side jobs. Somebody came under my post one time on social media and said she was 2 seconds away from starting a job at the warehouse. The warehouse, you got multiple degrees and things. I was like, we
With a
got.
master degree applying to Chipotle, with a master degree applying to Panera. What?
Yeah, and it's like, and it's not to shame anyone for doing that,
Thank
but
you.
I'm on the internet every day that say you don't have to do these physically taxing jobs.
No, ma'am.
You
And
can
there are
get.
places, yes, where you don't have to, where your income to your knowledge match. Yeah. And they're not requiring you, like you said, to do 3, 4, 5, 11 jobs to barely make your basics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So before we hit record, this for the listeners, we were talking, and I want to bring back up something that you said earlier, that when you worked with me, what it taught you was, well, you said that before entering the field of social work, you always said you don't want to be a typical social worker. I believe that's.
Mm-mm.
And then you said once you started working, well, once you worked with me, you went through all of my content and all of the things. I taught you, what you learned was how not to be a typical social worker. And
Correct.
I wrote down. Can you talk about like the moment you had that paradigm shift from listening to
Mm-hmm.
content around that I was giving you at the moment? Like, what were you thinking? Like, oh, I can do something else. What was that thought process around that?
You had put up a job for diversity, inclusion, and equitability, or however you say it, right? And I was like, wait a minute. And then what you did was you put up a list of titles. And I was like, wait a minute, I see those jobs all the time. They pay good. So then I said, well, go look. So I did. I went and looked. I said, well, let me see what that looks like. And I did. And because a lot of times, and I'm going to be honest, you could see jobs in other places, but they not be for you or available where you are, right? But you don't put up positions and jobs like that. You put up positions and jobs and overall titles. And so that's what I learned how to do, is to find project, program, director, diversity, inclusion, and equitability, those kind of training. What were some of the other ones that surprised me? Just those right there. I was like, wait a minute, I could do that. Oh, okay. Well, let me go back. And what I also want to say is I'm overqualified for half the jobs I thought I couldn't do. They asked for a bachelor's degree in 2 years, a bachelor's degree in 3 years, a bachelor's degree in 5 years. I got a master's degree in 13 years. So why would I feel? Why? Because I was ignorant. And ignorance is not a problem. It's the lack of knowing, right? What we don't know, we don't know. Ignorance is not because we don't want to know, it's a lack of experience. But we have to hold ourselves accountable at some point for career growth. And so for me, my ignorance was no longer acceptable. If I wanted to shift, if I wanted to change, if I wanted to see something different, I had to do something different. And I didn't have to recreate the wheel when the wheel was already rolling. And you showed me it was rolling fast, honey. And you pulling up all these things and popping them up, and you showing I said, wait a minute, that's 650 dive. Where I'm at. Why am I allowing somebody to tell me they want to offer me 65 when I'm in the 80s now? And I started off 2 years ago accepting a position in the 65s, barely 70s, right? And now I'm looking at jobs in 100,000 and not even flinching when I'm looking at them, because I used to steer away from anything that said project, program, trainer, director, any of those things, because I felt like my career and my experiences in jobs that I had not gained enough to do that. But what you taught me was, if you go through what you do every day and you learn how to define that, then you will see that they are transferable and equitable. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is a great point to emphasize to the listeners about something that I talked about in the podcast a few weeks ago, and even in a workshop recently, around the importance of shifting to having high career intent from low career intent. Low career intent is where you just are wandering throughout the workforce mindlessly. You're not really thinking about it. You just believe in what the people are telling you. You're getting a social work job or whatever job that's applicable,
Case manager. Mm-hmm.
and not going over and beyond, or you're just collecting the certifications, the trainings, and all of the things, but still not using them to get the jobs that you want, still struggling, doing whatever the thing is for you. But
Working 3 jobs.
high career intent is where you seek out more information, because there has to be another way. I mean, it has to be. Just by looking at people in the job market around you, they clearly are doing something differently. And a lot of people easily gravitate to, oh, it's their degree. That's where it's like a mass exodus of social workers getting public health degrees. It's not the degree.
Mm-mm.
A lot of those people are underemployed as well. They're in positions that don't require these credentials. And so I love that you taught about the being open part.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's major, and not knowing what you don't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know. This is why you have to go out and seek experts and coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Internet. And I want to be clear, because I need to start making this clarification for the people listening. Being an expert is not based on someone's education. Based on that. Being an expert is based on, were they able to do that in their own career? Have they been able to repeat that on a wash and rinse cycle with other people? And I say that because us as educated individuals, we get real wrapped up in the glitz and glam of someone having these high level degrees, and it's not about a degree. It's about, can you get me results? Have you done that in your own career?
Yes.
Have you held a true whatever type of job you're going for? So I love that you taught about it. I want to spend some time and talk about the process, right? Specifically because you were in a very direct practice type job. How did you, because you talked about how you had 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. I love that. How did you mentally and emotionally find the capacity to do your job search? Because a lot of social workers are like, I'm just so exhausted at the end of the day, of course, because they're saving the world with one Band-Aid. But
A half a Band-Aid. Inflation.
so dirty, used up Band-Aid. How are you able to find the capacity in the room mentally and emotionally to do that?
First, you got to put yourself first. You got to pay yourself first. And that is hard for us as social workers because we are always and forever trying to do something else with somebody else. So I made myself my own client. You tell your clients, this is your plan, right? This is our plan. And how can we do this? So I figured to myself, if, like you said, if I can give all these skill sets to all these people and see their successes, why don't I do that for myself? And so here's the other thing. You'll wake up to go to a concert. Baby, you'll wake up to go see some person that you want to visit. You'll make the time and find a way to go on that girls trip or guys trip or whatever you want to. You'll scrimp and save or find a coupon or whatever. For me, I gave myself an hour. I woke up an hour early. So if I woke up at 7, I woke up at 6, whatever it may be for me. And I said that from that moment, I was going to dedicate that time to me. And so what I do is I have a journal, and I know most of us do. Oh, plan. Got your little journal, right? Got my little good plan, right? And so I hold myself accountable. So one thing I do is 3 things. I write down 3 things that I did that day in the at night. So this is what I do. I write down 3 good things about my day at night and 1 thing I want to work on for tomorrow. When I wake up in the morning, I look at that 1 thing and I start working on it, right? But then you may find that you got some other things you need to add to that list, right? So every single day, I hold myself accountable. At the end of the day, 3 good things about my day, meaning towards my career, right? What am I doing? What's the 3 good things I'm doing to move myself forward? Did I do a job search? Did I listen to a podcast? Did I read an article? Did I share my knowledge? Did I whatever it may be, am I putting in a drop into that bucket so that I can get the thing I want? And then and 1 thing I needed to work on, always at night. So when I went to bed at night, my mind was already set. I had accomplished great things and what I was looking forward to doing the next day. When I woke up in the morning, I read it again. And then whatever that thing was, I put in the time to do it that day. And so as the day went on, in your mind, you're thinking to yourself, oh, okay, yeah, I need to check on that job board or go back and listen to that podcast. And also, I stopped saying I didn't have time. Stop saying that. You do have time. Make the time. And so in my car, baby, you could listen to an audiobook. You could listen to a podcast. So instead of me lost in the sauce of, just kind of zoning out, trying to decompress, I owned that this was just as important. This decompress, baby, I needed to put myself in a position. And so instead of saying I was tired or telling myself it was the end of the day, I would say, baby, you 1 step closer to that new job, or you 1 step closer to that thing. And I became my own cheerleader and my own encourager. And when I felt tired, don't get me wrong, I would take a break. Maybe, on 1 day I didn't get up every day, but I did not lose sight. And when I did lose sight, I always reminded myself, now hold on, who you complaining to? Because you here. You don't have to be here. And it's been proven. Because for me, and I think most people, you need to see what's already been done so that you too can do it. And once I saw you talk, not even talk, your testimonies, honey, your talking ain't what it is. I'm in that class. I think it was a full class, 30-some people in that class. Okay. We're all over the place. All of us can't be, right? We can't all be stupid. We can't all not, right? And so what we did was in our ignorance, we found what we needed. And we took the time, just like when we go get certifications, we sit there 8-10 hours, right? And like you said, we never do nothing with it. But that hour, if it was half an hour in the morning, half an hour at night, I held myself accountable to do something with it. So it wasn't just let you say something to me and then I just sit there tired at the end of the day. No, I held myself accountable. Even if I think you were saying you need to apply for jobs. And so for me, the other thing that really was important for me is you told me how to put the alert and go onto the job boards, right? So instead of me having extra work, because that's what it is, right? You feel like you add extra work. You don't want to do that. There was no extra work. Honey, that thing binged me all day long. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then, so I used the skill sets that you taught me so that instead of always looking and maybe being too late, Instead, I was being told. And so then once they came to me, you feel a little energized. Oh, what's this? Oh, what's that? And then you start applying because they're already given to you. And so that's what I mean about the skill set. You taught me not to have efficacy. That's it. Have efficacy in what I was doing so that when I planted that seed at the end, when fruition came and it was time to pick, there was something to pick because I had done the work. And so you have a lot of simple things that people be like, no, it ain't. That alarm in all those places allowed me not to be overburdened and burnt out by looking at things and trying to, because that's me. If there's too many things, I'm tired. My brain's tired. But baby, it was handed to me on a platter. Here's the programmer jobs. Here's the director jobs. Here's the whatever jobs. And so it was no longer about me sifting through 1,000 jobs. Maybe 50 jobs came to me that were in my list. And it just required that I kind of do, and I got a system, right? As I got better with it, I got a system. I was able to find counties or city or agencies that I did not know existed so that now I could focus on them. At first, it was just to see the jobs, right? So you're up here. And then as time went on, I was able to, with knowledge and understanding, narrow down what I was looking for and then apply appropriately. Because at first, it was just so overwhelming. It was so big. But with time, and again, the skill set that you taught me, it was easy because it wasn't that I was running to go find things. It was more like they were coming to me and I just needed to shift through them and choose what I wanted versus desperately finding something that I need. And that changes your life. I know for me, I'm thriving in my life. Before, I was surviving, and that's not the same thing. And when I realized that I wanted to thrive in my life, we all say that. Oh, we tell our clients that, I want you to thrive. That's something that I have said a billion times to my clients. But for myself, I accepted that I would go home, as many of us do, worn out physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and definitely financially, only to wash, rinse, and repeat. And when again, at first, because I'm telling y'all, this has been a 2-year journey for me. At first, I didn't have the capacity, right? Because it's capacity and capability. I didn't have the capability because I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have the capacity. And then I found the capability because you gave me the skills, which created the capacity to continue to do what I needed to do to reach my goal. Oftentimes, we over inundate ourselves and we don't remember that balance. And so once my capacity reached my capability, honey, I was on fire and them jobs was coming in. And instead of me feeling like I didn't know how to get a job, I was telling people, thank you. I don't want that job. Not that
Oh,
one.
don't it feel good when
It
you
don't.
find jobs and get jobs? You can turn them down. I can do that. Mm-mm.
Full jobs and they was good. But before, I would have never turned down a job. That first job they gave me, oh, I want that job. Yep. Baby, I don't care where it was, because as a social worker, I felt like jobs were hard to get, right? Hard to come by. But now I don't have that belief system. And most importantly, you helped me shift my belief system for what I was worth, what my career was worth, what my degree meant, and what my experience meant. Yeah, that was really, really important to me. And I am beyond proud. I talk about you all the time. I had an intern that I work with, and she's graduating, and she's older than me. She's almost 50. And she was a teacher, and she said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to do, right, clinical work. I was like, let me tell you about somebody. And I sent her your stuff, and I did not send her your list, but that list that you gave us in one of the class, I gave her something from each area. And I sent her the titles, and I was like, I'm not going to give you the stuff you need to go pay for. You pay that woman her stuff, but you need to go sign up for one of her courses. And this is a sneak peek on what she's going to teach you how to do. That girl emailed me. She was like, what is this? I was like, girl, yeah. Now you going on there and you take one of her classes and you get the full breadth of what she's offering. But just to see another woman, I empower her. I shifted her idea of what she could do because she was worn out and stressed out being a teacher. And now she in her last year of her degree talking about, oh, I'm tired. I don't think I could do this no more. And I'm like, oh, Lord, you ain't even graduated yet. But that's what I mean. Like, some of us as social workers were tired just looking at the jobs we were offered. And I shifted that for her as a mom. She was like, I didn't even know we could do things like this. I was like, don't worry. The system make you believe that you're pigeonholed to do this because that's what they want you to do. But if you look over here, you may find a little something. She graduates this year, and I text her recently, and she's looking at different jobs, applying for different jobs, seeing herself differently. And graduation now feels so much different than it did a year ago when she was contemplating as an intern that this would be her life forever. Yeah.
I love that. I love when y'all pay it forward, right? Because, and I was gonna do a whole little commentary on it, but I didn't. Like the whole comment around Black jobs, going back to what you said earlier about people of color, but in the workforce development system, and not even the system as a whole, but there are certain jobs that only a certain group of people typically get. Right. And so those service level work, like things at the bottom, actual social workers is on
Intake worker. Yeah.
like the low quality jobs. Of course, it's not called Black jobs for the people listening. However, you don't have to get stuck in those jobs, right? Your work doesn't have to be labor intensive and taking a toll on your mind, your body, your soul, and your pocket. And you're still, like you said, surviving. I've been there, done it. It doesn't have to be that. You have opportunities. You just have to be taught the skills to learn how to navigate this job. And it's possible. So I love that you talked about the processes and the systems. I also wanted to talk about on that same note around like one of the reasons why I started at MSW Coaches because in my time in the nonprofit world, which it was only like 2 years, 1.5 technically. I was like, this is not for me, this is for the birds. But that's where I saw the glaring racial leadership gap. The people in the front office, I did a whole podcast episode of this. The people in the front office and the admin office look way different than the people in the back that was serving the people day to day. They look like me, which which made me to go on this search to research what this dynamic was that I was witnessing, and it's called the racial leadership gap in a nonprofit. Right. And so that was one of the reasons why I started MSW Coach after I got my first macro job. It was like, how do I help these other really, really good social workers, social service workers, insert your thing? How do I help them move out of those frontline jobs and start making some money, but also get in these positions where they can impact greater change for the world? And so to hear you talk about that earlier, I also wanted to make note of that for the listeners. Like it's a very real thing. And if you're not careful, you will get swept up into that dynamic. And I just want you to know that if you are in that dynamic, you have options.
It's never too late. It is never too late.
You don't have to be where the people put you. You can go wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. And you just how you talked about the fact that you can turn down jobs. That's why I do all of this. I don't get on the internet because it's fun. I'm an introvert. I like to be by myself in my house, minding my business. But I do it because it's like if I figured it out, I'm gonna teach everybody else to do it. So
And we should be there.
I'm glad you talked about that. So I just want to highlight for the people, like people who work with me, they win in more ways than just the job, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I made a list. You bought a home, you over there growing kale. I saw you growing your kale.
Yeah,
That's
because I got a backyard now. Okay.
yes, bro, my favorite vegetable, kale, and it looks so good.
I'm going to take a picture today. I'll make sure you can see the new updates.
Please do. I love kale. I'm gonna have a kale farm one day. You could probably could teach me. Because she over there growing kale in her new house backyard. You bought a brand new car. These things that the people who work with me get as a result of getting one. I always say one. My people don't have two, three. There's one person that got two macro jobs, but that's because he wanted them.
I was like, because they want that.
Not because he had to.
Yes.
Get one good quality, good paying job. And I just don't advocate for social workers to get good quality, good paying jobs. I do this for everybody in the world. So to talk about buying a home, buying a car, being able to support your children. I love that part. Your adult son.
And my grandbabies. Yes.
I love that. I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, I was talking about the fact, they were like, has your daughter graduated college? Yeah, I was like, yeah, she graduated like a year or so ago. And they were like, well, does she have, I said, she doesn't have any debt. And they were like, oh,
That's
she
right.
doesn't have any debt? How is that possible? I said, because our mama paid for tuition.
Amen. Because
Now,
we
if I was
can.
exactly. But if I was back in case management world, call center days, that would have never been a possibility. But I share that in addition to this wonderful story that you just shared to give somebody like a point of reference. And I too was small. I had my baby at 20. Right? You can do what you
Baby.
want to do. You just
Yes.
need the skills, you need the education and the support, right? The account, like not even accountability, but the support. That's why I'm on it every day in some way, shape, or form. I'm gonna stay in your face.
Yep. And I'm a touch. Exactly. Let me tell you this. I hurt myself when I was moving. Now, a year ago, 2 years ago, I didn't have health insurance. And this would have been one thing. My last job, I had health insurance, but it was so expensive. I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't even use it. $5,000 deductible, right? So yes, 2 years ago when I moved, I got really sick and I had bills up the wazoo, medical bills, right? And I had to go through and apply for grants and, because my healthcare, you got healthcare, baby, they might as well not have given me healthcare. Let me tell you this, I could have went down to the county and applied for their medical and been accepted because I made that little bit of money, right? Okay. So I got hurt, my sciatic, right? My back. So I got hurt. Guess what I was able to do? Go to the doctor in the morning, pay them. My health insurance covered it to be seen and ain't nobody fussing at me at no job. I'm not worried about missing no job because why? I got flexibility. I'm my job. They ain't nobody looking for me, right? Because I create my schedule. When I talked to my boss, she was like, you need to take a couple days off? Like, I never had a boss like that before. They'd be like, why you ain't here? You got 50,000 clients. What you doing? Now, my boss is like, are you okay? You need to take a half day? Last week was hard, but your productivity, my boss was like, are you okay? How are you doing? That's the difference, right? When you in jobs versus somebody looking at you talking about, no, you can't take the day off. I said, I'm calling in sick. What you mean I can't take the day off?
Yeah, it's a night and day difference when you get high quality jobs. Right?
And high quality services.
Yes, high quality benefits. Now you can also get you a 529 account. I talk to my people who are alum of my program. Start your baby a college fund. Like you can start investing, you can start financial planning, you can get you an HSA account. Like
got that too. Yeah.
Yes.
All the things you had never heard about, right?
Investing in your retirement. These are the things that I talk to my coaching clients about. It's more than just a resume. And so with that, I wanted to also highlight what you said earlier, which I've really been trying to drive home to people. It truly is a process. Listen to everything that JamiQuan said. Like she talked about the clear months that it took, the strategic steps, the process in the system that I taught her. It's a process.
It's not overnight.
Right. And that's how a lot of people, because they don't know, go about their job. They think that it's just, oh, I just applied to this one job. I take the first job. You have options and it's a process and it don't happen overnight. And it will require you to work. It's going to actually probably require you to work harder than it required you to get that degree. But you're going to have to work. But it's worth it. Because look at all of the ways that she just explained how her life has changed exponentially. More than just having a job, more than just a salary. And it is
Mhm.
not just impacting her exponentially, it's impacting
Everybody.
children, her adult children, her grandbabies, her legacy.
Friends, community. Yes. Yes. A friend asked me for help. Baby, I could help her. It used to be me always asking, calling my brother, hey, can I get $100? Let me get $100. Because, now I don't have to, I could send my brother money. He just had a baby and I was able to buy him gifts, like that kind of stuff, right? It may seem little, but it adds up. It adds up. And this process did. I'm gonna also say this. Baby, I could save 17% of my income and invest it now. What? I can afford to put into my retirement account. I can afford to put in to my pension. I can afford to not think, oh Lord, I hope Social Security is still around. I don't care because now 17% of my income, and I don't miss it, is invested every month before I see it. And that doesn't include my family health savings plan that gets taken out. My point is all those things, medical, dental, vision, all that comes out. But baby, I'm still paying the house note. What? And that house note, just so we clear, ain't little. When I first saw it and she told me how much I was going to have to pay, I said, oh, Lord. And then I thought to myself, what you panicking for? You were approved. And I'm going to say this. My house note is high. And I was able to pay an extra $200 financial literacy, right? So that I could pay my house off earlier. But the point is, I wouldn't have never been able to afford that or $200 extra had I not been in the position I'm in. And so I want to say that I didn't lose anything. There was such a shift in everything. It went up, up, up. And I say this to say, you're right. The first 3 jobs I got offered, I felt so confident when I said, no, thank you. So confident because I knew that this other job that I applied for, I wanted. And in my panic, I had applied for other jobs that I didn't quite want. But when it came to the time, and I'm honest, it took me 8 months. It took me about 8 months. When active, not applying, right? It took me 8 months from applying into getting a job. But them 8 months did not seem long because it was about the strategy. Keep applying. And you always say that too. It's the numbers game, right? It's the numbers game. The more you apply, the better chances you're going to get, but not applying willy-nilly outside, right? I wasn't looking to get a Starbucks job, a Panera job in the evening. I wasn't looking to work my regular job Monday through Friday in the daytime, do delivery at night, because I was doing that at one point. I need y'all to know I was working Monday through Friday. I was doing DoorDash at night. And then I was helping elderlies on weekends and right in the morning. And then DoorDashing again at night. I had 4 jobs with a master's degree. I was so tired and exhausted. And I'm going to be honest, disillusioned at this big old age that I am. When was life going to give me the thing that not I deserved, but I had worked for? I had been through college, been through graduate school, took all these things. Why wasn't I getting the thing that I said I wanted? Because I wasn't doing the thing I needed to do, positioning myself. And when I held myself accountable for that and took the time to correct that, anything that broken take time to heal. And so my low idea of my career, I'm gonna be honest, right? I didn't want to call it a career because as a social worker, I had not grown. I had not felt like my jobs were worthy enough for me to consider it a career. But once I was able to reframe what I was and my experiences, I'm now really proud to say I have a career. I'm really proud to tell people what I do and how I help people. And as a care coordinator, it feels really good to see that my skill set really is being applicable. Because I felt like all these things I was doing and learning, they were just things. But now, like you said, you taking a certificate, you over here taking this class, you doing all this stuff and you ain't never using it. But now my repertoire is open and I'm just pulling out all these extras that I got and they're not extras anymore. They're a part of my professional arsenal. And that feels really good.
Yes, I love it. I love it. 4 job offers, and you said
Mhm.
process, and out of the 4, you turned down 3 of them because you were eligible to get something bigger. I love that so much. I appreciate you. I know
Yeah,
this episode has touched somebody
I
in
hope
some
so.
way, shape, form, or fashion. Before we end, I want to ask you, what would you say to a person who's like on the fence with like working with me, coming to a workshop, joining my career coaching program? What, give them one thing, what would you tell them? And then I'm going to ask you another question after that.
Okay. You put in what you put in what you get out. Baby, that's it. If you take your time to give to us, you do podcasts, you do YouTube, you do videos, you have every Instagram, Facebook, whatever, right? So any platform for free, you are available. Now I'm telling y'all right now, I'm not talking about you because I know what it's like to not have $1 after your bills are paid. Please do not let that deter you. Please, I'm not saying you're going to get the depth and the birth that we get privately, but you will get enough to shore you up, to decrease some of that stress, decrease some of that feeling of loneliness or maybe lost. You help me pivot my brain and my thought process. And I think we must remember that everything starts with your thoughts, right? Thoughts become actions. Actions become things that pay us back. So I had to change my mindset. And it took me time. That's not nothing you do overnight. But I dedicated myself to that mind shift. And what I put in, when I really put in the time, like I said, doing those notifications on the job boards, some job boards you had told me about I had never heard of, right? That door, even cracked open this much when it was free, gave me enough light to see that was time. And so I'm gonna tell you how I got your class. Somebody gave me a gift for something, maybe my birthday or whatever. And instead of going out to eat or doing this, I paid for your course. I was able to pay it off, right? But in the beginning, that emergency credit card, that's how I did it. And so I'm saying to y'all, I know y'all been to concerts. I know y'all been out to do whatever, brunch or whatever. But if you don't do that one time, you can pay for the service. And I'm just going to say, I think that the class that you did was 3 times worth what we paid. It was 5 times worth my time because what I got out of that one event, live event, I think it was maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half, shifted. Now I got a little extra money and I bought me a house. I'll be back because I want to join your year program because I'm just going to let y'all know that director position that I'm looking at, I applied for it when I was being brave, but over my next year, I will, when I come back, be a director. So y'all be looking for me because I sure will be some director somewhere. Why? Because I'm going to take this next year to pour into myself, to pay the money to pay you so that I can show up and show out this time next year.
Love it. Yes. Tap me in. I'm ready. Yes. I love it so much. I want you to tell the people how they can, well, tell the people about anything that you have going on. I know you have
Sure.
some services that I know will be beneficial to somebody listening
Yeah.
on here, especially like doing onboarding and all the things, just in
Yes.
buying homes and things like that. So tell them what your business is.
Absolutely. So I created the legacy forums. And what that looks like, again, you helped me solidify that too. I like older people. I like end of life services. And I became an end of life doula, did another training, didn't do nothing with it. And now on the 21st, I was invited to a speaking. Like I'm getting speaking gigs now. Like people are, that's what I mean, right? Before I had all these topics and all this training and I wasn't putting it out there. End of life doula, I did because of work. It was a work thing, right? And then I was like, never did nothing with it. But after I took your class, I became an end of life doula and a notary because they work together. And I do speaking engagements. And so the Legacy Forums is my business. And you can find me on the internet. I'm Farmer Go Go Girl on all my platforms. But the Legacy Forums is also up. And so I spend a lot of time talking to people about end of life, because that's another thing we don't talk about, right? And as a social worker, I did that a lot. I talked to my clients about end of life and palliative care and things like that. And again, right, that's my thing, right? One-on-one. But when it came time, I'm the one helping them, do a will or whatever it may be. But now I done got me a website and I got me a business, and I'm not tired. And let me be clear, my business, when I do notaries and things like that, they can be online and on the weekends and at night when I could charge extra money because I'm at work during the day. And so now I don't feel pressed that I got to run to my second job and then run to my third job. I get to choose. And my speaking engagements, just so y'all know, is on social work stuff. And you help me, like I have a call sheet now, and I feel proud to be able to put myself out there with my expertise. But again, what you say about being an expert, I didn't feel I was an expert until I was able to explain I was an expert. And now that I can explain I'm an expert, like I said, these last 9 months, baby, been magic. So I hope y'all listening, it's not just about the job. End of life care notary was my passion. I know it sounds crazy, but when I was a kid, I wanted to be a notary. I thought those ladies was dressed nice and always had little stuff. I know what a notary was, but I just wanted to be one. But now I'm a notary and I see the benefit in what we offer and how it connects with my job and skill set. So anybody out there looking for me, you can find me there, Farmer Go-Go Girl and the Legacy Forum. So I look forward to connecting with y'all and encouraging y'all. And I hope giving y'all a boost of confidence that as you sit there and you may be in that place of contemplation, you will be in the place of action. And believe me, in the beginning, when you put them little drops in, it may not look like nothing. A little bit of sand, a little bit of water, right? At first, it's a little bit of drop, but before you know it, it adds up to something phenomenal. And this time next year, you will be somewhere closer towards your goals than you will have been if you never started. So as you look at me, I was a teen mama. I'm divorced, right? And just be clear, I'm not from the state of Oregon. I moved here for a job, right? I moved here for a job, and that job helped me pivot. And I just want y'all to know that it's capable, it's possible. It's not possible, it's probable, because possible is maybe. Probability means there is certainty in that coming. So move from possible to probable. Learn that probability is about your action. And this time next year, I hope that somebody puts a little note under our little thing and say, I saw y'all, because I felt the same way watching one of the podcasts. I saw y'all and it changed my life.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Miss Marthea.
I believe that they will. This has helped many people. And I want to say for those who are listening, if you are ready to learn more about macro social work careers, seriously, go down in the description and click the link and visit macroandpaid.com. Get my free e-course, start there.
Yes,
And also on there is some other resources that I have
use them.
available, free to low cost. Just grab whatever you want, but
Yes.
start with the e-course. And
Mm-hmm.
JamiQuan, I thank you so much
Thank you, Miss
for taking
Marthea.
time out your day, because I know you're a busy person.
As you
You
are,
got
and thank
kale to
you.
grow and fruits and vegetables and all kind of stuff to pull in their backyard.
Yes, Lord.
Thank you so much.
Thank
To the
you.
listeners, I'll talk to you next time. Happy macro career planning. Bye.
Yeah, bye.